Hey folks, let's get into it. Fairly tame sort of week in the Australian market and the US market. There's not that much going on in markets. We're still in a sort of bit of a rebound phase from the recent volatility we had last month. So that short term that looks fairly positive. Longer term, we still think there's going to be a lot of volatility in markets, generally because of these announcements. And the main issue is, no surprise, is the US-China trade war going on. We've talked extensively about that. Essentially, I don't see anywhere where they're going to come to an agreement where both sides are happy. Statements out of both camps from Trump and Xi Jinping and their underlings are basically signalling that neither side is going to back down. So this could be a long, protracted negotiation, and essentially I don't think it ends up anywhere. It ends up with America and their allies, and on the other side there'll be China and their allies. As we've talked about with the new normal, this is part of the process where deglobalization happens, and it's going to take a while. That's why we think there's going to be greater volatility. A lot of it will be based on the statements made by Xi Jinping and more particularly Donald Trump. Trump has shown that he can make pretty wild statements that can move markets, and we can probably expect more of that in the future. So that's what's happening at a global level. At a national level, we've seen the re-election of the Albanese government. He's come back in with a very, very large majority. You can probably expect 6 years, which is 2 3-year terms. Because generally the Labor Party have won at least 90 seats. The coalition are struggling at around 40. So that's quite damaging for the LNP. They'll probably spend a bit of time pointing fingers at each other as to who was to blame. But that's by the by now. They've got to get on and be the opposition. And so Albanese won't generally have a free rein for a while, but he'll just continue on his path. He's generally fairly sort of conservative as a Labor person. He's certainly not radical like, years ago when Labor had Gough Whitlam. They might push the envelope a little bit more, but generally I think Albanese is still a business-friendly government. So overall I expect to see some continuity there. I don't think there's going to be any radical change up or down the spectrum. That's about it this week's, folks. Hang tight. As we said, be just a little bit aware of potential volatility. The thing that happens is volatility can happen very quickly. And so you can sort of have a good week like we've had this week, and then suddenly next week turns sour based on a statement that Donald Trump or Xi Jinping says. Anyway, stay cool over the weekend, and we'll see you next week.